Well, what do you think? It is the big day, the Georgia runoff. We'll see if we even see the results tonight. We never know with elections nowadays, but what's your kind of thoughts on that? Lay it out for us.
Well, I think it's really close. It's almost impossible to get at what's how that's going to go. It's so close that pollsters actually kind of quit taking polls, and I'm hopeful, but Democrats had a bit of a lead from the early balloting and returned ballots, and hopefully Republicans get out there and vote like mad today.
Yeah, I hope that's the case because, I've had a lot of concerns, Congressman, with the way some of your colleagues have been voting. I've talked about it a lot on the show. You stood your ground on the stimulus here just a week or two ago. There wasn't a lot of you, though. I mean, it was like 50 maybe in the House, all Republicans, right?
Yeah. Right. Yeah, that's right. No, I mean, but it's worse. I mean, so I like to liken it to this. Democrats want to go off the speed of light over the cliff on so many things, and Republicans are at least going the speed limit as they're approaching the cliff. So the matter is, what that means is we can actually turn. If the Republicans have control, we can turn a lot easier than if the Democrats are in control.
Yeah, so, I mean, let's play this out for folks who maybe don't pay attention every day, Congressman. I mean, it's a super slim majority in the Senate. By the way, real quick, how close did it tightened up in the House this past election?
Right.
I mean, Pelosi just barely got back in, not her election, but as Speaker.
Right. That's right. So they're sitting about, I want to say 222. Right now we're about 212, and you've got a couple of kind of contested seats that still haven't been resolved that should go Republican way. So it's going to be the tightest, smallest margin in a century between the two parties. Okay,
and then on the Senate side, this race in Georgia means what? I mean, if they lose, it's that tight.
Yeah, so right now you have 50 Republicans and 48 Democrats in the Senate, and you got these two seats. And what that means is if the Democrats win that, then it's 50-50. That means whoever's the vice president will be the president of the Senate and will break all tie votes.
Okay.
So that's how critical the Georgia vote is.
Absolutely. Okay, so let's fast forward because there's not enough going on today and really into tomorrow as they're tabulating votes, I'm sure. But tomorrow, it is tomorrow, correct? The process starts for the certification in Congress of the presidential election. Walk us through that.
So what happens is when we get together, it's a joint session. So you have all the senators, all the members of the House will be on the House floor, Vice President in the chair. It's a joint session. It starts, you pray, you pledge, and then the Vice President doesn't really even say anything. He just says these are the electors and goes forward. And he goes state by state alphabetically. And then you get to Arizona, and we have a significant number of people who will be objecting in the House and in the Senate to the seating or the counting of the electoral votes from Arizona.
Okay.
And then what happens is there's an immediate recess, and the senators leave the House and go back across the Capitol to the Senate chambers, and they start their 2 hours of debate, and we have our 2 hours of debate. It's run by Speaker Pelosi in the House and Leader McConnell in the Senate. And nobody can speak more than 5 minutes, and there has to be an hour of positive or pro seating the electors, which would be the Democrat side, and then an hour in opposition to seating the electors, and that would be our side.
Okay. And you've been on the record, you plan on objecting to the certification process tomorrow in the House. You said when it gets to Arizona, you expect several.
Yes.
I know.
Oh, yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, there'll be a significant number. I'm looking at a list now, and it's pretty full. There'll be dozens, if not more. that object. And then what'll happen is after we have the debate, then there's a floor vote in each body. And in order to keep those electors from being seated, you need the House and the Senate. You need both chambers have got to vote not to seat the electors. And of course, the Democrats do have the majority. It's a small majority, but they have the majority. They will vote lockstep to seat those electors.
Okay, so playing this out tomorrow, Congressman, you get to Arizona. You go in alphabetical order here, so Arizona's pretty quick on the roll there.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll be. What are we? The third state.
Okay, so you object, and maybe some of your colleagues, I would assume Congressman Gosar, for example,
yes,
and others.
Jeff, Paul is going to make the election. We went with the senior member of the Arizona delegation of the Arizona Republican delegation to make the oral objection, and then we're trying to organize our time to know who's going to speak, et cetera.
Okay, but that only takes one. So at that point, it recesses, goes back to the Senate.
That's correct.
Okay,
yeah.
So this will probably happen pretty quickly because I imagine there's other states too that have folks that would like to do this.
That's right.
Okay,
that's right. So you're looking at 6 states.
Okay.
That might have that happen, but I'm thinking you're going to get 3 or 4 states, maybe 5.
Okay.
Where there's objections and you have the debate. Yeah.
Okay. And again, I'm just trying to, because we all don't follow this, so playing this out. So it goes to the Senate. The Senate debates this. Right now, the Republicans control the Senate. What is it, 52 to 48 or something like that?
It's 50 to 48.
50 to 48 today. Because of 2. Okay. Yeah. So is there the votes with the Republican majority in the Senate?
I don't believe so.
Okay. So if it goes... go ahead.
So the way to think about this is you've got 48 Democrats. You know they're all going to vote to seat the electors. Mm-hmm. And so you got to get 51 not to. So Tom Cotton has said that he is not going to vote to object. Lindsey Graham said he's not going to object. So all of a sudden it's 50-48 against the objection.
Okay.
Then you have people like Mitt Romney that's been critical, and Murkowski and Susan Collins and Ben Sass have also been critical. So my guess is this is going to be very challenging for us to even come close to breaking even in the Senate.
Okay. And then it goes back, to the House. Even if it failed in the Senate, does it still come back to the House, or is it over?
They're simultaneous.
Okay.
They're simultaneous. So while they're debating, we're debating. While they're voting, we're voting. And then it's such a long shot for these electors not to be seated.
Okay, so we kind of see the writing on the wall there. What may happen tomorrow? What happens afterwards, Congressman? And I know you and I have spent show after show talking about this. I've got listeners calling all the time. They're at their wits' end. They're so frustrated. You know it. You hear it. You've got people, shall I use the word, converging on Washington right now, and even here at the state capitol, there's a whole bunch of folks down there. I assume capitals around the country. So tomorrow, Biden gets certified for Biden, and Biden's coming in here. I mean, what's the next step here? What happens?
Well, a lot of it depends on what happens in Georgia. If the Republicans win in Georgia and we maintain control in the Senate, then what happens is the Senate becomes the backstop for all of the crazy left-wing socialist policies that are going to be promulgated by the Democrats in the House. If the Senate goes, and I don't know if you followed it, Ossoff and the other guy, I can't remember his name, from Georgia. If you follow those guys and look at what they've said, they're the defund police. They're the freebies to everybody, that free college for all, free Medicare for all, everything's free. So you start moving in a socialist trend, and something we haven't talked about, Jeff, is that the rules package that was approved by the Democrats in the House facilitates and takes some safeguards off, and that would normally slow down the Democrats, they took those safeguards off so they can do things like the Green New Deal a lot easier than they otherwise would. So you're talking about them planning to go pedal to the metal on a hard left tack. And don't forget, too, I spoke to a very senior Homeland Security folks last week about what's happening on our border.
Yeah.
Because of what President Trump did, Title 42, we're turning away more people that are trying to sneak into our country than we were during the surge. And if Biden takes that off, which he has said he's going to do, he won't be able to turn them away, and we will immediately move into a surge of open border issues like we had when all the caravans were coming up here in 2019. So we're facing just an absolute huge series and set of problems depending on who takes those 2 Georgia Senate seats coming up tomorrow.
And do you think that even with the let's say it goes to the Republicans tomorrow and they hold the Senate, isn't there still, don't you still have concern? And I'll go first here. I have concern that on a lot of things it's still going to be iffy because you've got a couple of weak Republican senators. Just call it like it is.
Well, you do. You've got some senators who think very differently than I do on whether it's immigration or spending, or you got a bunch of war hawks in the Senate. You've got, you just name it. They're there, and they don't always see eye to eye with the conservatives in the House. And so it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough sledding.
And one more thing here, and let me pull up, and folks, by the way, a lot of you can follow me on YouTube, and I want to put this shout out here. If you're watching back on this on my YouTube channel or Congressman Biggs' YouTube channel, please like and subscribe. I see your YouTube channel has grown quite a bit recently, Congressman, so wherever you're watching this, please do that because we want to get the word out. But I'm pulling up a picture here on the screen of Representative Emanuel, and it wasn't a good start to the swearing in.
You mean Emmanuel Cleaver? Yeah.
Yeah.
Prayer.
Yeah, and I'm not going to play the audio again because I did that a couple times yesterday. But, I mean, what is this a mindset there that, I mean, us folks in, like, the rest of the country, we can't even conceive how off the rails it's gone?
Yeah, that's right. So I liken it to if you walk in and you're dealing with my friends on the other side of the aisle, the Democrats. Yeah. And it'd be like you walking into the most liberal campus of a university in America and walking in with a conservative point of view, and you want to talk about John Locke and freedom and maybe Frederick Hayek or whatever it is you want to talk about. They just don't get it, and they're really out of touch. They're out of touch with the mainstream in America.
Yeah, and that was cute. And just as a reminder, if you weren't listening yesterday, he's at the end of the prayer, he said amen and a woman. And it was like, it didn't even make sense from a historical or dictionary point of view. It was stupid. No. It was just stupid. He was just trying to get a headline, I think.
I don't know what in the world that was about. That was just odd. But it's consistent. So they're attacking me saying, well, it's not true, basically what Biggs says, that you aren't going to be able to say father, husband, brother, son. Mm. And I said, well, why don't you read your own rules? Yeah. They said, yeah, he hasn't read the rules. No, we've looked at them pretty well. I think we know what they're doing. They just don't want to tell the Americans straight up what's going on. They're also wanting to discipline what we put on our websites and our social media. And this is just outrageous.
That's Orwellian. That's Orwellian. Yeah. Big Brother within Congress. They want to actually watch and monitor your congressional site, your public sites.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Wow.
And that's the authoritarianism that I often say is inherent in the leftist philosophy in America today.
All right, folks, we are talking with Congressman Andy Biggs, who's the chairman of the House Freedom Caucus, and obviously a big vote today in Georgia that'll determine the Senate, but then a big vote tomorrow, and as far as certifying the election results and for the presidency, and we've already laid out how we think this is going to go. Congressman, they laid out these rules, Speaker Pelosi and her buddies, as far as how you're going to operate. And then we had the prayer where they're talking about a man, a woman. They're talking about gender neutral language. And I'm thinking to myself, and one or two of my listeners will get aggravated because I talk about the national debt and the condition we're in right now quite a bit. And a lot of people say to me, Andy, they're like, why do you keep talking about this? It doesn't matter. Nobody's listening. Nobody cares. And there's nothing you can do about it. And I'm pretty convinced there's almost nothing we can do about the national debt and the deficit problem at this point. But I'm trying to prepare everybody for what probably will happen if we go down this road. Look at this. This is the official numbers, $3 trillion deficit. We know it's higher than that. Federal spending, $7 trillion, probably going up to 8, maybe more. Is there even a talk about it anymore?
Yeah, well, it's hard to get up a few conversations with it. I know who I can go and talk to here about it and have a serious discussion about it. There is talk. It's always not the right time, though. That's what they always tell me.
Yeah.
It's not the right time. And I say, well, when is the right time? When is the right time to actually address spending, the national debt, the structural deficit? When is that? When is that? Well, now we've got a pandemic. Well, what was it before that?
Mm-hmm.
We were in a slight recessionary trend. Well, what was it before that? Well, we had an inflationary period. They find every excuse they possibly can to perpetuate spending. And so some of us who come to them and really try to put pressure on them, they view us with great disapprobation. They don't want to talk. And I'm not talking about I'm not talking about just the Democrats. I'm talking about there's a lot of Republicans as well.
Oh, no. I mean, absolutely. We saw that with the stimulus. So, I mean, if you had to play this out, where do we go then? Because we heard the talk that we're going to continue with the COVID issues and it's going to go on for a long time. I mean, do we have a $4 trillion, $5 trillion deficit next year too? I mean, how does do they pencil this out? Do they war game this, Congressman?
They do not war game this. Come on, man. Don't think about it. There's people like me who look at it and say, and I go to folks, I was told that we were going to start the year with a $2.5 trillion structural deficit for the current fiscal year that we're in now. And we are, 3 months into 3 or 4 months into this fiscal year. And the question is, how much will it exceed that? And the spending packages that just came out will push that up, in my opinion, by another $1 trillion or so, at least.
Unbelievable. But then how do they justify? I mean, people are frustrated with the Sudan thing, the Egypt thing, the Vietnam thing, the Ukraine thing. How do they pencil all this out? And how are the people how long do the people put up with this?
Well, hopefully not much longer. But I mean, the way they justify it, they'll say, well, we need to do this to keep them on our side, to keep peace there, blah, blah, blah. And as bad as the foreign aid spending is, I can tell you what, if we sat down and looked at our budget, you would find so many domestic programs.
Oh yeah.
That you'd say, oh my goodness, and they all spend more. But never forget that when the Democrats are in charge and the left gets in charge, a lot of this is for odd things. I mean, so for us to give $29 million to the Afghan security forces to do gender equality in the Afghan security forces. I want you to understand, you have a significant portion of Afghanistan that still is trying to operate under Sharia law. Mm-hmm. And when you give money to Pakistan, $10 million as well, and then when you send out money for early childhood development around the world, you're ignoring the mantra that President Trump always said was America first.
Yeah. Make
America great. And as we are great, then we can lift others. But yeah, we managed to self-immolate all the time when we budget.
Yeah, you think they laugh when they get this and think what suckers these people are? I mean, you think someone in Afghanistan's like gender studies or gender equality and they're like, thanks.
Well, here's the way it works. I mean, it's going to work in one of two ways. Either somebody's going to skim off the top, and you're going to have to really make sure you've got accountability, or you're going to see, some think tank in New York is going to send a couple of people over some trips to Afghanistan and meet with some of the generals of the security forces over there, get their opinions, do a poll or two, and then come back and make recommendations.
Yeah.
That's the kind of garbage you see, and it happens routinely in Washington.
Yeah, some think tank bureaucratic cubicle. What was it that Elon Musk says? Maybe a few too many MBAs going on right now. Thinking stuff up.
Yes, exactly.
Maybe not picking on people with MBA. There's plenty of smart people out there, but there's also a lot of useless stuff that happens. Okay, Congressman, I know you got to go. I want to finish up here. You mentioned the border earlier and security, and we've seen this influx that can happen if you just decide to have open borders again. I looked at your Twitter feed, 450 miles of border wall. There has been a lot of stride. Or strides under President Trump.
Yes. Yeah, that's right. And I think he's trying to get 500. It's possible to get maybe 500 miles out before the 20th of January. They've got crews working double shifts, et cetera, trying to get things done is what I've been told.
Okay.
But here's the way to think of it. During the surge, we had as many as 35,000 people in custody, and now we have 1,000 people in custody. Title 42 allows Border Patrol agents to turn back folks who are coming into the country illegally, just immediately turn them back. And then you also have the stay in Mexico policy, which still remains in place. But when those go away, the floodgates open. The reason that you've seen one caravan form, the reason that we're seeing a movement is that the cartels know that if Biden is the president, especially if they get the Senate as well, they're going to change our laws. ICE had a reduction in funding in the NDAA bill. They're trying to attack CBP. They want to turn them into basically a search and rescue operation instead of a border security operation. You're going to see,
like, to help them back across and stuff, like if they get in trouble.
Yeah, go out and rescue them, which they already do.
Okay.
That's one of the things they already do. But all these provide incentives and lures to come into the country illegally. And as that happens, I'm just going to tell you that's why we're seeing this massive, it's not even getting any play in the media. There's a massive surge of people trying to get into our country today. Fortunately, they're being turned around.
But they're just waiting. They know. They follow They know what's happening.
Yeah, the cartels are advertising again like they did before. The NGOs up here, the do-gooding NGOs, are advertising down there. And what some of those people fail to understand is they actually facilitate and contribute to human and sex trafficking, and certainly drug trafficking, by facilitating and advertising ways to get up here and how to beat the system.
Yeah.
So you're going to see a lot of things that look reminiscent of Obama era policies.